Hi there, I'm the
Hi.
CRM Ninja, and on today's episode of the Oops Factor, I'm joined by Gustaf Westerlund. I got that right?
Well, more or less, yeah, yeah,
Phew, it's
yeah,
a bit
yeah,
difficult to subtitle the different accents.
yeah, yeah. And I have a special accent coming from a special part of Sweden as well. So I see that you have a picture of Stockholm behind you, and I live in Stockholm, so I think it's correct. But
That,
I'm
that's
actually, yeah, I'm from an island in the middle of the Baltic, so we're sort
oh,
of like isolated, and there's I guess like some people and lots of sheep, and well, that's us. So that's how it is.
people
Yeah.
of sheep, like New Zealand, okay, and Wales. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
we have
island
Wales.
is it's like Sweden's New Zealand, but smaller and more sheep, I think, and with less business. So I had to move out of there because there wasn't anything to do there anymore. It's
Except
like
look after sheep.
yeah, yeah, and I think there's tourism as well. There's nice beaches and stuff like that, but
Okay,
you only work like a couple of months in Sweden, or like maybe a day, because that's like you have one day of summer and then it's like winter again. So yeah, but
okay,
you'd want to work more than that. So yeah.
understood. So if they were going to film a Swedish version of Lord of the Rings, they would go there then, I'm assuming, because obviously the
But
main thing was
it would
filmed.
be a bit boring, because it'd be like winter's coming winter.
Okay, so not Lord of the Rings. It would be Game of Thrones. Got it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, not yes. You're right. Yeah, I was thinking about Game of Thrones all the time. Yeah, but yeah, it's a very they have a lot. There's lots of old heritage stuff, and
Right.
the town there is very old. It's from like I think it's the ninth century, so
Okay.
it's a nice place.
Decently old. Okay, got it. And how long ago did you move out of there?
I'm 1989. I moved to London. I lived there for 4 years, and then from
Yes.
'93 I moved to Stockholm
Got
with
it.
my family. So
Right. But I mean, it's why I've got the background of Stockholm. I try and do my background in homage to the guests who
yeah.
appear on the show. So I'm glad I got it, partially correct at least.
Oh, you did. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I understand that you have some hobbies such as tennis and used to do martial arts and stuff. Did those come because there was nothing but sheep where you grew up, so you needed to find something else to do?
Well, I did tennis on the island of Gotland, but I didn't do any martial arts. I started doing some martial arts when I lived in London, but then I started doing it more seriously when I moved back to Stockholm, and then I've been
Okay.
doing that since I was like about 15 years old, and I've been doing that. Well, that when I got my kids, I stopped doing it because it was hard to get to get the time to work with having kids and stuff like that. And then I haven't gotten around to start up again, which is a bit sad because I really like it. Um,
Yes,
so
it's a good form of exercise. I mean, personally, I feel if you can use grappling moves and learn them, you can use them on kids, your own kids, of course. When they're
yeah,
misbehaving and stuff.
I practice Aikido, and
Ah,
the Aikido moves when you do different sort of like grappling moves, but they hurt a lot.
pressure
My
points.
kids,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, and my kids they get really mad when I do that, and I'm not sure that you're allowed to, so I try not to. So it's very easy to like trip them over and stuff like that, and well they think it's cheating, so.
But okay, so disclaimer for those at home who practice martial arts: do not use your kids as in the general sense of
No,
practice.
no, it's cheating. Yeah, yeah,
It's cheating. Okay, good.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. You
I'm
shouldn't.
I'm glad we've clarified
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I mean, I have several little ones. I mean, they're not that old yet, but they're little monkeys. They climb on the top of me. Sometimes I will put them in a hold or something just to get them off me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. My oldest, she's 13 now, and she doesn't climb on top of me anymore, and I'm happy for that because that would be problematic.
Yes, yes, I can imagine. Well, until the point that she can do Aikido and she can use Aikido moves on you when you're not
Yeah,
letting her drive
well,
the car or something.
I'd love for her to start to start doing some martial arts. I think that would be a good idea. But she does currently she does gymnastics a lot and some singing and stuff like that, which is great. I think for her, she has to choose her
Got it.
own. Yeah.
I do. Very good. So moving on from sheep and Aikido to Oops Factor, what do you have to share with us?
Well, I think that there's lots of oops factors. I've been working with dynamics since like 2005, and
Okay.
actually the first project I ever did with dynamics that was sort of like an oops factor because I had a friend who was working at Microsoft, and
Ah,
He had helped a company with selling this new system that Microsoft had to a company. But the problem was, they said that, yeah, they're good at selling, but they don't have anybody to deliver the system. And I was just between jobs at that time.
Okay.
So I told them, how hard can it be?
And you had no knowledge of the system at all. You went, how hard can it be to put in a system?
I'm a master of electrical engineering. I've been doing programming since I was 11 years old. So I was thinking, okay, so how hard can it be?
Famous last words.
I'm rather positive kind of guy, optimistic kind of guy, So
yeah, definitely.
Maybe you reckon, right? Well, anyway, so I went over to this company, and we talked about it a bit, and I said, well, I'll probably fix this, and we can fix this for you. And then, so they employed me for this.
Well, that was nice of them.
Yeah. But they didn't have anybody else to do it, so. And they had to do some development, and so it turned out that it was Dynamics CRM, or as it was called at that time, Microsoft Business System CRM 1.2.
1.2. Wow.
Yes. That was really early, and the thing is that we weren't actually doing CRM at all. It was actually like a document management system for an electrical utilities company. So it was actually quite a good idea. It was a good idea because it was like trying to manage people moving in and out of houses, and when somebody moved out, you had to like shut off the electricity because
right.
And then when they got the new contract started, then you could switch on the electricity.
Got it. Okay.
You have to know all the contracts, right? Otherwise, for a specific address, otherwise you can't switch off the electricity.
Sounds a bit like field service to me. No.
No, it's not the actual field service. It's actually just knowing when you can switch off the electricity.
Okay, fine. It's the admin side of it rather than the actual.
There's nobody living here right now. We don't have a contract for that. Switch off the electricity.
Got it.
That was just what it was doing. But previously, before this, they had somebody, a woman actually looking through the drawers, like the old kind of file cabinet, when they was looking like, I don't think there's anybody living here. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. And there's like, we don't dare shut it off because we're not sure. So, so I asked this, my manager at that time, he had sold the project to this electrical utilities company. Okay. And so I asked him, so do you have a specification for the requirement specification for what I'm supposed to be doing for this? Or anything to go for? Yeah, I have the quote here. It says like Dynamics 365. It's like 10 users and customizations like $5,000. Okay, and what am I supposed to do? It's like
make the system work.
Yeah, make it work. Make them happy. It's like, okay. It's like, have you sold anything like close to solutions before? What do you mean? Like, how is this different from servers? And it's like, okay, oops. So that's sort of like my first oops factor. I didn't know Dynamics or Microsoft or CRM 1.2. They didn't know CRM 1.2. They didn't know how to sell CRM 1.2. So I actually started off by saying, okay, I have to start by trying to sort of get some kind of requirements out of this customer. So I know when do we hit the target? What's the goal actually? So I sat down with them for a couple of weeks, and I managed to get them to agree on a requirement specification. And then I came back to my manager and told them, look, now I have a requirement specification. So we know what we're supposed to be doing. So we know when we're done, which is good. And then he said, but they didn't order that. You have to ask them you have to ask them to get paid for that. Outside of this like $5,000. Like, what? Am I supposed to do that? I mean, you're the guy, you're the sales guy. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to do that. Like, okay, yeah, whatever. And I said, as being an optimist, I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I'll learn from this.
Yeah.
I will grow from this, and I'll learn from this. Trying to do this, he might be wrong. Like from an outside perspective, he might be actually wrong. But I'll learn, I'll grow, and I'll try to do it anyway. So
So
I called the company up and I told them I need to get paid for this. My manager told me I have to call you and ask you. Yeah, I figured they would. He said, the customer, and they said,
okay, that's at least good that they think about. I'm curious. You said that was like $5,000. What did your manager think the $5,000 of configuration or coding was there for?
yeah, well, to do the changes, but they didn't know what changes to be done.
So there was money that you were billing for
Sorry?
changes. There was
Yeah,
money put in the contracts for charging for changes, and you
yeah,
specified what the changes were needed for it. And your manager said that that actually wasn't part of what he had billed as changes.
yeah, right, yeah. So he didn't, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but he was used to selling servers. That's
right.
the thing, So it's like it was a bit, it was a bit strange. And then I mean, he said that how much money do you want for that? And I said a number, and he said, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. And then I went back to my manager, said, you can invoice him now. So that was good. I learned from that, and I learned to not be so afraid. You can just do it and
Yeah.
try to sell. And I think I grew from that. And I mean, 5 years later, I started my own company, which is we're now 21 people. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's part of the journey I've done, trying to learn from that. And I mean, there was lots of oops factors in that you have to see them, you have to learn from them, have to try to tackle them. And I mean, you have to take care of it, because you can't
We all
often
make
rely on it.
mistakes. We all learn from the mistakes. I mean, part of the reason for this show is bringing people on to talk about it so that we can all learn from it and apply it in
Yeah,
our own
yeah.
daily lives, personal and business.
And I think also you have to make sure that you have to often try to make sure that, I mean, not trying to get somebody else to fix it.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes I think it's more prevalent in society today, is that people think that, oh, there's a problem here, you have to fix it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, there's a problem here, how can I fix this? That's how you should think about it.
You need to step up. You take ownership. You take responsibility. The buck
Yeah,
stops
yeah,
here, and it's the way that we should be working in business. Something goes
yeah.
wrong, we admit to it, we get over it, we move forward, we learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, and I mean, even if it's not your fault, you can sometimes, you can try to fix it anyway. You
Yep.
step up and you do it anyway, and you just fix it, and not always try to just like shy away from everything all the time. Because then if you do step up and I mean, as a company owner, if I see I have people that constantly step up and do that, that's something I value immensely. People
Yes.
actually stepping up and going above what they're supposed to be doing, or actually that's something I really like anyway. So I mean,
Yeah. It's not about just taking the initiative for something, but it's also taking the ownership and responsibility, not just,
yeah.
something new, but something may have gone wrong that you say, look, it wasn't my thing, but I'm going to go and I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, I noticed this isn't there. I've done this and this to sort of rectify that and make sure that it works, so that we have this, it's correct for the customer now, so it works. So they're not sitting there. And often, I mean, when we're working with customers, the customers don't know exactly what they're supposed to be doing and stuff like that, and they do stuff that's wrong. And it's like you have to, and sometimes you do stuff wrong. You can
Yes.
I have a colleague. He managed to. He accidentally deleted something, and I think I've done that too, or something. And you have to just
We've all deleted things.
yeah, and you just have to be open with it and just tell the customers, like, look, I made a mistake, and don't try to like try to shovel it under the carpet. Or that's what we call it in Sweden anyway.
Yes.
Try to hide it away, because then it will just come back and bite you anyway. So you don't want to do that. Yeah.
No, it's important. Like, you own up, and that also makes us appear more human in some ways. We can make mistakes, and then as long as we can rectify it and we work on it and deal with it, then there is then a building of trust and building that relationship.
Yeah, and there's a great book that I think it was Mark Smith who recommended that. It's Getting Naked.
Yes.
It's a business fable, and it's an excellent book, and I think I really like that way of it's something I like it also because it sort of harmonizes a lot with the way I've always been working, trying to be very honest with customers and being saying what I think all the time, but being open is not, and being honest doesn't mean that you are blunt and stupid in the way you communicate.
Yep.
You
No,
can
no,
always
very true.
communicate. You can communicate in a smart way as well. You don't. You
Yes.
don't have to be just
Yeah,
like rude.
very important. No, very important point. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Some very valuable lessons, owning mistake, but, taking initiative, even if you don't know what it is, and above all, actually knowing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but I tried to learn. But when you start a business like I did, I didn't know how to. Okay, how do you time report? I didn't have a time
Oh,
reporting
time
system.
reporting. Okay, let's not mention timesheets.
Yeah,
That's
but everybody, I mean, as a consultancy, as a consultant, you have to time report, right?
yes.
That's one of the funny thing is that one of the reasons I started my own business was I could get away from time reporting. But then, I mean, when you grow your company, you have to time report. So that's
Yep.
like, it came back to bite me anyway. So I have to time report anyway. So now we have this, well, we'll have Business Central anyway. We time reported Business Central. But from the beginning, I was just me and then a colleague. We were 2 people, and then we time reported in Excel. And I figured out a way to do that in Excel. So it's I mean, you have to grow small. Like, so that's how it.
Hey, you can build a Power App.
Yeah. Now you can do it, but we didn't do that. We didn't have that 2010. So
True. I'm talking nowadays. You can build Power Apps. Yeah.
it's easier to do. It's easier to do now. So. Yeah,
Brilliant.
but you always have. Then you do mistakes, and you have like, oh, you're like 3 or 4 people, and you have this Excel sheet, and it's on SharePoint, and all of a sudden it breaks, and it's like, oh no, and that's
What's
the reason
gone
why.
wrong? Yeah.
Oh, they break. Excel sheets on SharePoint, they break, or wherever you have Excel sheets, they break if you share them with people. So that's why you shouldn't have them. You should move to Power Apps, right? So and do the different apps in Power Platform. That's the point
Definitely.
of it, right? Yeah.
Definitely. That's a great picture of Power Platform. You're selling me on it already. I'll just come and sign up.
Yeah, of course, but you already know that. So
Well, there's always stuff to learn.
yeah.
So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Now here's the point I ask you who you think you'd like to come on the show to share an Oops Factor story. Can be anyone.
Have you talked to Ulrich Carson?
I have not.
CRM short guy?
No.
Should talk to him. He's from Denmark.
Okay.
So he's almost Swedish,
Ouch.
but he lives in the US. So
I will reach out to him and tell him you've nominated him.
Yeah, he has a very good niche as well. He's very good at Power BI. So
Okay.
I think that's I like people that take niches and they excel in those niches.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to be a jack of all trades. It's
Yes.
very hard to be a jack of all trades.
I mean, the product is so large nowadays; it's practically impossible to do it. Yeah, definitely.
And it's and then he's very good with Power BI connected to Dynamics and reporting connected to Dynamics. I think that he has probably lots of interesting stories with that. So.
I'm looking forward to touching base with him.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Viewers, we hope that you've enjoyed this and had some good laughs along the way. Feel free to check out the rest of the Oops Factor playlist, subscribe to the channel, and take a look at the blog. Have a great day.